Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is JohnJake on the mic, coming at you with some more USBL action here on MLB The Show 21. And we start things out here. We're going to a very unique ballpark here to start off today's USBL episode as we get closer to about, a third of the way through the season. We are closing in on USBL draft day. That will be in the next episode, but to start off this one, though, we are out here in Houston, one of the more unique ballparks in the USBL. One of those stadiums where you can hit it out 450 feet, and it won't necessarily be a home run if you hit it out in the center field. But in right field, though, that's a different story. That's nearly a home run, bounces off the wall, and that's where we're going to see our first run scored of the entire game. San Jose coming off with a 1-0 lead here as Dansby Swanson comes up to the plate now for the San Jose Marauders here in the top of the fourth inning, and that's a nicely well hit ball too. That could get down and ends up doing so. That was a shallow hit ball, and that manages to get down, and so that could have been the third out for the Houston Astronauts. But alas, we do see San Jose continue to go up the bat. Max Stasel now going up to the plate for San Jose, but he's actually going to strike out to Mike Clevinger. And so San Jose does get off to a nice start. They're up 2-0 here. And actually it forces Houston to go to their bullpen a little bit here. They're actually going to turn to Austin Bove, who hasn't had too many appearances so far here in the USBL season, and not a great start for him either. He had runners on first and second, gives up a base hit out into left field, and that drives in another run. So San Jose will go ahead and grow their lead a little bit as Yuri Guerrero comes up to the plate now, batting 1 for 2 on the day so far, and that's a deep ball out to left field. It's not going to quite get out of the ballpark, but that being said, it will at least draw in another run. San Jose will go ahead. They will get themselves another run in, and it makes it 4-0 here as Dansby Swanson returns back to the plate. His second at bat here in 2 innings, but his second at bat not going as well as he anticipated, grounding out to the shortstop. And so San Jose, they have a 4-0 lead here. And another thing to watch out for as well is Shohei Ohtani has himself a little bit of a no-hitter going here. Bottom of the 6th inning. We'll see if he can keep it up. He's been pretty efficient with his pitches overall and continuing to pitch well as well. Gets to strike out there, but J.D. Davis comes up to the plate, though. 0 for 2 so far on the day. And we finally see the first hit given up here. It turns out to be a home run. J.D. Davis getting his third home run of the season. The Houston Astronauts cut into the lead. It's now just a 2-run game here as Christian Yelich comes up to the plate, trying to get a good hit on the ball, but able to go ahead and get the fly out. Shohei Ohtani, even with that 2-run inning, still pitching really well overall. And, the San Jose Marauders, they still hold on to a lead here. As we now jump into the top of the 7th inning now, Mike Trout coming up to the plate. What he's capable of. And this one actually might carry out of the stadium. It does. I don't think that was supposed to be a home run originally, but it just carries just enough for Mike Trout. It is the 8th home run of the season for him. As now San Jose, they establish a bigger lead now up by 3 runs on the Houston Astronauts as Yuri Guerrero comes to the plate once again here in the top of the 7th inning. 1 for 2 so far. Make it 1 for 3. Is he going to strike out swinging? As Dansby Swanson coming up to the plate here as well. 0 for 3. Still looking for his first hit, and that's one way to get it done. Swanson taking it deep out in the center field. It's going to actually drop, and this is going to be trouble here as well. Swanson might be getting himself an inside the park home run, and that's what we see here. San Jose gets a rare inside the park home run, and San Jose with a 7-2 lead here. Inning doesn't last much longer. Next batter will ground out to the pitcher, Austin Vogt. But man, that is a tough one to deal with, as Ross Stripling is going to come out for the San Jose Marauders. Doing pretty solid so far this year. A 2.05 ERA thus far this year. In a great situation for him as well. Up by 5 runs as Kirsten Hira, one of the better batters in the USBL this season, strikes out. It brings up Josh Bell, who's down by 5 runs. But this is a moonshot out to right field, and it gets all the way, I think, up in the 3rd deck. Josh Bell gets that out 362 feet, his 7th home run of the season. As Brandon Belt now comes to the plate, he's going to go ahead and strike out swinging against Ross Stripling. As that will lead to Lewis Robert to come up to the plate here. 0 for 2 thus far. A broken bat may have led to that ball not getting very far at all, but Josh Bell does help with trying to go ahead and get this lead reduced just a little bit. Still a lot of ground that will need to be made up here, though, as Daniel Norris comes to the game now for the San Jose Marauders, trying to get this free out save here. Up by 4 runs, though, although Christian Yelich not done yet, though. Gonna get a double out into left field. So runner does eventually get himself into scoring position. These Houston Astronauts are not done yet. As now, Keston Hira up at the plate. 0 for 3 on the day so far. He's going to get his first hit of the day, and that just might go ahead and bring Christian Yelich home. So Christian Yelich does go ahead and make this just a 3-run game. Matter of fact, San Jose going to the bullpen once more. Giovanni Galanis comes into the game now. He is their actual closer. Currently has 7 saves on the season so far. Brandon Belt going to try to go ahead, keep this game going just a little bit longer. Down to their final out, though. And Brandon Belt is going to go ahead. He's going to ground out. And San Jose, Houston trying to make it interesting, but the Marauders of San Jose are going to go ahead. They're going to win the first game of this USBL episode and win this game by a score of 7-4. As we go ahead and shift down to maybe a potential playoff matchup here, if these two teams keep up doing what they're doing right now. The Chicago Freeze and the Minnesota Ducks going to go ahead and face off against each other. Both teams, at least at some point, have had either a lead or shared the lead for the best record in the entire USBL. And these two teams ending up in the same division, we might be in for some great action here so far. As well, Gary Waters comes up to the plate. Tim Castro gets his 12th stolen base of the season. He's got that 99 speed. And let me tell you, speed kills. Tim Castro, thanks to the fact that he stole that second base, able to get home off of that. That was a shallow grounder out to left field too, so it wasn't even that hard hit of a ball. So you love to see it. As Randall Polson comes up to the plate now, 5th batter here in the order, and got plenty of speed out there at the base pass. So Polson didn't even have to get himself a hit, able to sacrifice himself, as Gary Waters does go ahead and get the 2nd run for the Minnesota Ducks. And that still leaves Fernando Tatis. He was over at 3rd base as well. We'll see if Mitch Heinwer can bring him home as well. But it looks like that won't be a case, as the broken bat hit is able to end the 3rd inning for Noah Syndergaard and the Chicago Freeze. But the Minnesota Ducks do end up tacking on a couple of runs here, as the Chicago Freeze look like they will go ahead and try to respond here in the bottom of the 4th inning, as Joey Gallo, he's going to strike out swinging, a boom or bust kind of batter. He's going to either hit you a moonshot or he's going to strike out. Definitely struck out there, but a few batters later, Chicago ended up with bases loaded, in matter of fact, but despite that, they almost didn't get any runs in. In fact, they were bailed out by a bad throw out to first base. That looked like a tailor-made double play. So that will cost the Minnesota Ducks 1 run. Hopefully that mistake doesn't kill them further. But Andrelton Simmons We'll make sure that happens. Just hits a weak grounder out to second base. That is considered the final out. So Chicago, they had bases loaded without any outs, and they only got one run out of it. So not a great showing for Chicago in that inning. As Ian Kennedy, he's now in the game for the Chicago Freeze. He's going to try to make sure they stay in this thing. As he faces off against Miguel Cabrera, he can still hit as a designated hitter, and he's going to bring, you know, at least a runner within 90 feet of home plate. Thad Gonzalez comes to the plate as well for the Minnesota Ducks. Top of the 6th inning, 1 out with a 1-2 count. Thad Gonzalez takes a shot down the right field, and it just barely was not a home run, but it will be considered a double. Would have brought 2 runs in, I would imagine, if it wasn't for the fact that literally, and if anyone other than Miguel Cabrera was on base, that probably would have been another run for them right there. But not that they would have to wait too terribly long anyways. Ball hit so far. Miguel Cabrera able to get home safely. So another run for Minnesota as Thad Gonzalez able to move over to third base. But we still got 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning. Gary Waters comes up to the plate now as well. 2 for 2 on the day so far. But he's going to have his first strikeout of the day, though, as Gary Waters struck out swinging. So Minnesota tacks on a couple more runs here midway through the 6th inning. As we move on over to, looks like the 9th inning, as we're going to go ahead and watch Trevor Rosenthal trying to go ahead and get to work here. We got a 2-1 count now. Joey Gallo trying to save the day. That should have been the final out. But because of a terrible, and I mean terrible, throw by Thad Gonzalez, the error keeps Chicago alive just a little bit longer. Alex Verdugo with the chance to bring some runners home. He's going to strike out swinging. So Trevor Rosenthal, you know, a little bit of drama involved, but that will go ahead and get the Minnesota Ducks a huge victory against the Chicago Freeze, winning this one by a final score of 4-1. But now we go to another team here in the USBL that has really taken the league by storm now. They surprisingly now hold the best record in the USBL. Now, the Cleveland Rockers come into this game with a 27-14 record. Boston Quakers, on the other hand, seem like they have struggled a little bit. They are currently 5 games under 500. Might be one of those things where a lot of the pitchers in the pitching staff for the Boston Quakers are a little bit on the younger side, may not be too terribly ready for the opportunity just yet. So hopefully they aren't sellers at the trade deadline, because I think this team will get a lot better as their pitching does end up getting better. But man, it's also, you know, tough, you know, playing against one of the better teams in the USBL and the Cleveland Rockers. As we cut to the bottom of the 1st inning, Graybar Torres comes up to the plate now with only 1 out in the bottom of the 1st inning, as Torres is going to end up striking out Delvi Garcia, showing some flashes of brilliance, getting him to look silly. But then on that very next batter, Ken Grubb comes up to the plate. He's going to send a moonshot out into right field, and it is gone like a girl in a country song. A 3-run shot for Ken Grubb. That is his 7th home run of the season. So all of a sudden, Cleveland takes a 3-0 lead, but they do kind of squander an opportunity to get even more runs on the board, as Travis Shaw was up to the plate for the Cleveland Rockers, trying to steal second base, but that didn't necessarily work out at all. And now Boston looking to try and respond here in the top of the 3rd inning. Yasmani Grandal at the plate, only batting .226 so far, but getting a nice hit out into left field. That could be a double. He's certainly trying to stretch it that way. Cleveland not going to attempt to gun down the runner at 2nd. So Yasmani Grandal, who doesn't have that much speed whatsoever, he gets his 8th double of the season. That will bring David Fletcher up at the plate. He does not have any hits yet in this series, and that's still going to continue as well. as looks like there was an error on that double play ball. Oh man, that is tough to take in there, as it does look like we're gonna go ahead and see Boston score a couple of runs here, and off the error, shouldn't have happened. That should have been a tailor-made double play, let's be honest about it. So some sloppy defensive play is keeping Boston in this game for the time being. But Travis Shaw, who was hitting while the runner was trying to steal second in the previous inning, he still gets his at-bat, and Travis Shaw makes the most out of it, his 5th home run of the season. And the Cleveland Rockers, they go ahead and take a 4-2 lead as a result of it. Although that will be the only run that Cleveland scores here in the 4th inning. So Cleveland does get a little bit of an insurance run, to say the least. Still only a 4-2 game. But we cut into much later as well. Torres. Boston makes a couple of substitutions. Torres comes out in left field. And then Yohan Lopez comes out of the bullpen as well to make sure this game stays reasonably tight. Bottom of the 8th inning. And this is the guy that's been doing extremely well. 1.06 ERA. That is extremely good for a reliever. And you can see why he has the stats that he currently has right now. But struggling a little bit here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Has the bases loaded on him since that strikeout. As there's another strikeout once again. Looks like Gleyber Torres striking out. But Ken Grubb comes up, and he has been a thorn on the side of the Boston Quakers. But you can't walk a guy with bases loaded. That's the worst feeling in the world, seeing somebody with the bases loaded able to go ahead and literally draw a walk. That's how you get a run in. And not only does it happen one time, it happens twice in the same inning, as Mike Myers, facing his first at bat, walks the first runner he saw. So that drives in another run as a result of it. As Travis Shaw, same thing with him. He's walked by Mike Myers. And that draws in, yes, another run for Cleveland. Cleveland scored 3 runs in this inning, and none of them were actually physically hit. They were all walks. And so, Cleveland, in a weird way, could have had more, but kind of a little bit of luck as well here, as Boston just could not make a timely strike whatsoever. So now this game is thoroughly in the hands of Cleveland, just all up to Chris Davinsky to take care of business against Paul DeJong, who's 0 for 3 on the day thus far, to make sure that the game is close, tight, shut, and he does just that, striking out Paul DeJong, his 2nd strikeout of the game, his last strikeout of the game, because he was the final batter. And Cleveland continues their great start to the season. They're now 28-14 after this ball game. What a game. Meanwhile, out on the West Coast, the Phoenix Firebirds take on the Los Angeles Saints on the road, and should be a really interesting thing to see. Can the LA Saints go ahead and close out this series? Can they get their first sweep of this series? Despite the fact that pitching has not been all that great, they've allowed 11 runs earned throughout this series, but LA has just been hitting the ball so well thus far that even with the terrible defense, it doesn't even matter. So here we go now, top of the 2nd inning. Phoenix has something to say about it, though, as Luke Vogt takes that out deep into left field, and it is gone. Home run for Luke Vogt. That's his 8th home run of the season. Is now Jeff McNeil now comes to the plate now. This time bases loaded, but Jeff McNeil fumbles the bag as he hits it right to the first baseman. Phoenix had more opportunities to get more runs on the board, but could not make it happen. But despite that, Phoenix still holds on to the lead here as we flash over to the bottom of the 5th inning. But that will not last forever, as Cole Hamels gives up his first hit. And his first hit ends up being a home run to Kyle Lewis, home run number 8 on this season. So now all of a sudden the LA Saints have this game all tied up here for the time being, but Cole Hamels not letting that home run get him too rattled. Able to get the strikeout there. And then against JJ Berde, who's 0 for 1. Basically able to go ahead and jam him up, forcing the pop out over to third base. So, besides that home run by Kyle Lewis, you know, LA hasn't really done anything in their offense. They still only have 1 hit up to this point, but despite that, still have this game all tied up because Phoenix hasn't really been able to go ahead and take advantage of it. But we'll see if that changes here in the top of the 6th innings as Jacob Barnes comes in, takes on a brand new hitter, and Jacob Barnes' first at bat. Really his first batter that he faces. Not going so hot. Already has a runner in scoring position as AJ Pollock gets his 7th double of the season. So 180 feet away from the Phoenix Firebirds, taking the lead right back ever since they gave it up in the bottom of the 5th inning. As George Soler looks to go ahead and bring him home, and he hits his ball pretty hard. Is it going to carry out of here? It's close, and it ends up leaving the park. George Soler gets his 11th home run in the season, so Phoenix gets the lead right back automatically as Austin Nola tries to play a little add-on, but a grounder out to shortstop, but it's not handled well, and so Austin Nola, you know, able to reach on an error, and it gives Jeff McNeil a chance to go ahead trying to move some runners over. We'll see if he can do that as well. 3-1 ball game as Jeff McNeil trying to swing for the fences. Struck out swinging in the process. But Phoenix now holding on to a 3-1 lead here as we now cut to the top of the 8th inning now. As we go ahead and see Kyle Farmer come up to the plate now. Runners on second and third. Able to get a nice little grounder right up the middle. And Kyle Farmer brings in at least 1 run in, but will bring in a 2nd run as well. 2 RBIs for Kyle Farmer. And Phoenix really looking to get themselves an opportunity to at least not get swept. Leave LA with a little bit of momentum. As Noah Ramirez comes into the game for the LA Saints, and he knew as soon as the ball left the bat, but that was gone. He knew as soon as he threw that pitch, that was trouble. Austin Noah taking advantage, his 5th home run of the season. And the Phoenix Firebirds have really came back from the ashes, up by 6 runs. They got plenty of space to work with here. As we will now move into the bottom, getting closer to the end. Blake Trinan comes into the game. He does not have any saves. Probably going to come in a little bit of a setup role here for the LA Saints. LA, they need to get something going here. Their offense not really been doing very well this entire game, but JJ Berde trying to help out the Cons a little bit. He's going to go ahead and get himself a solo shot as well. His 4th home run of the season. As that will bring in Brian Anderson a few batters later. Runner on first with just 1 out. As now Blake Trinian trying to pitch over to Blake Anderson, and Anderson's going to strike out. Bringing up Freddie Freeman. He's been having himself a time of the life. Batting 0 for 2 though in this one, so not too well for him. As Freddie Freeman, he gets a hold of that one. All we need to ask is if it's fair, and it's going to remain fair. The 6th home run of the season for Freddie Freeman. And now Phoenix has to go to the bullpen once again. Josh Hader coming to the game now, looking for a 4-out save. He's going to get at least 1 of the outs. Able to get the strikeout as soon as he comes into the game, but the damage was already done. LA really trying to come out here and make things really interesting. But that is as close as they are going to go ahead and get, as the Phoenix Firebirds avoid the sweep against the LA Saints. And Phoenix wins this game by a final score of 7-4. That will put them 1 game under 500. And now for the final game of this USBL episode, the last episode before the inaugural USBL Amateur Draft. We got the New Orleans Kings taking on the Jacksonville Suns, and Jacksonville, not necessarily the most popular team on the face of the planet, you know. It's not like they're that bad of a squad, you know, 18-26. We've seen worse teams you know, get a little bit more than one appearance. But, you know, Jacksonville, small market problems, you know what I'm saying? The first time that we saw them, they actually got blown out, I believe, by this New Orleans Kings squad back on opening day, if I'm not mistaken. It was at least, I think it was 17-2 back on either in episode 1 or episode 2. So we'll go ahead and see if Jacksonville can play a little bit better than that. But Yadier Molina, we're going to bring back the old good vibes as Yadier Molina able to poke that one in, you know, into the outfield. Yadier Molina gets himself an RBI in this ball game. And it's now a 1-0 affair as Ori Arianza comes up to the plate now, batting .263 so far in the year. You know, nice little hit, but it is hit right to the center fielder, and that's how baseball is sometimes, you know. Sometimes you're going to get a well-hit ball, it's hit right to a fielder. Otherwise, you're going to have one of those moments where it's not hit very well at all whatsoever. So, I mean, it is what it is, but top of the 4th inning now. New Orleans continuing to build up the lead, able to get himself a solo shot as Wilmer Flores gets himself the 6th home run of the season. That will bring up Anthony Santander in the 6th spot, 0 for 1 today so far, and he's looking to go yard as well. Does it have the distance? Yes, it does. Solo shot for Anthony Santander as well, his 5th home run of the season. As now we go back to Yadier Molina, who had an RBI single in his last at bat, but not going to have the same luck this time around. Going to end up striking out to Kyle Freeman. As we're back to Ori Arianza, 0 for 1 of the day himself. He ended the top of the 2nd inning, but this time a different result for him, as he's also going to go yard. So 3 home runs in this inning for the New Orleans Kings. It propels them to a 5-0 lead. As now Justin Turner is looking to get involved in the action as well, but going to end up turning a tailor-made double play instead. Justin Turner, the final at-bat in what was a nice 4th inning for New Orleans Kings. 3 home runs in that inning. You love to see it. New Orleans carrying an early 5-0 lead here as Jose Barrios continuing to, you know, show some good vibes, getting a strikeout there. Jamie Lisi shouldn't have much problem with, but he has ideas of his own. He takes it out to left center field, and it is gone. Home run for Jamie Lisi, his 5th home run of the season. And that brings up Starling Marte, trying to get a little bit of a rally going here in the bottom of the 5th. But alas, Starling Marte hits it right up towards Barrios. And Jacksonville Suns, you know, they finally got a couple of hits on the board, but still down 5-2. And here we are in the top of the 9th inning. New Orleans trying to add a little bit more insurance. You know, so here in the USBL, you never know. All of these teams really are capable of doing something special. As Luis Arias coming in the top of the order, 1 for 4 so far in the day. Looking to go for a 2nd hit, and what a big hit it is for this man right here. Yet another home run for the New Orleans Kings. This time Luis Arias getting involved, his 5th home run of the season. As Justin Turner again looking to follow up with that, and he's going to ground out the 2nd time that Justin Turner at bat goes ahead and ends the inning. So now New Orleans has a 4-run lead, and they'll go ahead, they'll bring in Dylan Tate into the game. He only has 1 save so far on the season. Gonna be looking for his 2nd save. It looks like they're gonna go ahead and get it to him, although this ball is given for a ride. Able to catch up to it, and the New Orleans Kings, they continue to have a really nice season out there, you know, out in this inaugural USBL season. And the New Orleans Kings end up winning this game by a final score of 6-2. So after we went ahead and simulated the rest of the month of May, that means we're now 2 full months in the inaugural USBL season. I think it's about time to go ahead and check out the standings. You'll see how teams are doing, and Chicago Freeze and the Minnesota Ducks continue to both have impressive seasons for the most part. Chicago Freeze, they're starting to pull away a little bit, 33-19, but Minnesota, who did have one of the best records in the league at one point, they slumped a little bit, 2-8 in their last 10 games. So they're now 3 games back of the Chicago Freeze in the AL Central. But other than that, this is not a very good division though. The Nashville Blues, the Columbus Jets, and also the Detroit Leopards still all remain under 500, but both teams have stabilized their records a little bit, and at least are all competitive. But one team that has really stood out here in this league is the Cleveland Rockers. They have surged to a phenomenal 35-17. They have won close to 70% of their games, and they're running away with the AL East right now. The next closest team is the New York Knights, but they're only 28-24 and are already 7 games back on the Cleveland Rockers. Everyone else does have a sub 500 record. The Atlanta Barons are under 500. The Stone Crabs of Baltimore under 500. And the Boston Quakers, who actually have the worst record in this division, are 21-31, and they are also well under 500. 14 games back already in the AL East. Rounding out the American League is the AL West, and the Houston Astronauts still have a lead, at least for the time being. The Seattle Pirates, though, are giving chase. They're only a few games back, sitting at 30-23, though. After that, again, quite a few teams. Not a lot of teams in the American League that are over 500. When 6 out of 15 teams over 500, maybe not the best of conferences to say. But, here in the AL West, the San Jose Marauders, they're a game under 500 with San Antonio Outlaws and the Las Vegas Lounge Wizards. Tied for last place in the AL West, they're currently sitting at 23-31. Switching things over, we now move over to the NL East, where we just watched what happened with the New Orleans Kings. They end up beating the Jacksonville Suns, but the Jacksonville Suns are no longer in last place. In the sim, they actually got on a little bit of a win streak to end the month. Ended up winning 3 of the last 4, and they're now ahead of the Charlotte Cougars, who have really underperformed this season. The Charlotte Cougars, on paper should be a playoff contender. I mean, they're top 10 in almost everything except defense. Defense is a real weakness for them, but I mean, even with that, they should be doing a lot better than they are right now. 7 games under 500, that just isn't cutting it for the Charlotte Cougars. The Washington Senators are doing okay, 25-26, but the Philadelphia Patriots continue to exceed expectations, 33-20 as of right now. Was projected as the 22nd best team in this league, so should have been close to a bottom feeder, but the exact opposite happening right now. They're ahead of the division. Up next, we have the National League Central, where the Aurora Lightning currently are ahead as of right now, 31-20. They have a 2-game lead over the Indianapolis Indians, who are currently 29-22. But again, same thing here. Not a lot of teams over 500, it seems like, in this league either. The Colonials are 1 game under. The Memphis Bobcats, who were supposed to be really bad, so I'm not surprised that they're under 500, but they're at least being competitive. And then the Milwaukee Bears, currently in last place right now, 20-32. But the team with the worst record in the league happens to fall in the NL West, which you can argue is probably the worst division in baseball, at least in the USBL. The Denver Bald Eagles, man, they have been really bad this year. 16-37 up to this point. They currently have the fast track in getting the #1 pick for next year's draft, not this year's draft. I'll explain next episode how that draft's gonna work. But the LA Saints are currently ahead right now. They're 29-23 going into the end of May, which is the worst among all division leaders. They're the only division leader that has not yet won 30 games. It's just a division that no one has really taken the reins. The Phoenix Firebirds and the San Francisco Seals, they're doing okay, sitting at around 500. The San Diego Whales not too far behind.
25 and 28 currently, but you know, I mean, it's not a great division, but it's still really competitive though. When your 4th place team is only 4.5 games out, that could really be interesting. But I mean, we only played roughly 50 games, you know, maybe a little bit more than that, probably third of a way through the season at this point. But so a lot of baseball that could still happen. But I mean, the Phoenix Firebirds, they've been really disappointing as well. Supposed to have at least the best offense in this league, but you know, the pitching is kind of letting them down a little bit. That's why they are where they are, despite having the best offense at least in this division. So guys, that's actually going to end things here, but next episode what we're going to end up having is we are actually going to have the USBL inaugural draft for rookies entering the league. I'll show the order, and then we'll at least maybe not show every single pick, but what we'll end up doing is, you know, we'll go ahead and at least, you know, pick until all of the blue chip players in, as well as all of the needs are met for each of these teams, because there's some teams that maybe not have enough of certain players in certain spots, and then at the end of the draft day video I'll show everyone's draft class and go from there. But hey, it's been a really great episode, been a really good season so far, plenty of action. And if you're enjoying the content here on the channel, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new as well. And then also as well, do me a favor, you know, hit me up in the comments, man. I try to read every single comment that you guys give me. I'm loving it. You need to keep bringing it for me. But yeah, man, that's gonna end the video, man. Hope you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.